everyone, I'm Luke Hector and you're watching The Broken Meeple. This is a YouTube channel about board games where I give reviews, top 10s and my honest opinions, regardless of the consequences.
Get on with it.
So continuing our small game front, we have Champions. This was the biggest surprise I got in the post recently, because Asmodee sent me a couple of games and a bunch of us a couple of games to review. One of them was Marvel Dagger, which I wasn't expecting to get, but I was so glad I did. And this one, which I'd never heard of, literally I'd never heard of, from Repos Production, this is Champions. It's a party game for 3 to 8 people, about 30 minutes in length, and I knew nothing about what this was. I sort of looked at it and I thought, ooh, I don't know, is this going to be one of those kind of mass market party games that's going to be a little bit, lackluster? We shall see. But I am into party games, so I wanted something that could house a lot of people and be easy enough to teach. And Repos Production have been kind of doing pretty well on this front. I mean, let's face it, Just One, and I believe So Clover was those as well. They've kind of had a good history with these light party games. So I figured, you know what, let's give this one a try. Champions builds on the premise of those tournament scenarios that you've seen where you have a bunch of categories and then there's like this person heads off against this person and whoever wins goes there, and then the next two face off and whoever wins goes there, and then you have the quarterfinal, semi-final, final. We've seen like Dice Tower do it with a few of their things. You've seen, I mean, you've ever watched like the Karate Kid films and you see at the background the score chart where they all meet in the middle. It's kind of that setting really. I don't know what the official name for is. By all means, you know, let me know in the comments if there is an official name for this. But put simply, basically, everybody will be given a bunch of these blank little pads and you will write down whatever names you feel like. You've got some inspiration tiles to help you, but frankly, if you can't think of a name out of the entire, like, the depths of human imagination or history, then I don't know what to do with you really. But essentially you can write down anything. I can have Barney the Dinosaur, Michael Jackson, Darth Vader, Eddie Izzard, whatever. I can put down whoever I like on these. These will then get mixed up into, and let's see if I can put it down. Essentially, whoop, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you will have your 8 names. And then a bunch of these category cards, of which I haven't even opened half the pack of these. There's quite a lot in here, and they are double-sided, so variety is pretty good here. But you will place these categories down next to the characters, whoop, that you haven't got. But you will also have another 2 here for the semi-final, and you will have the final over here. So you know what categories are coming up. What you do on your own little dry erase board, and yeah, dry erase seems to be the main go-to at this point for party games or anything in general, is that you will write down on here which one you think is going to get from here and become the eventual champion. So this is your prediction. The rest of this is purely just to write notes if you want to keep track. But then what happens is that each of these is resolved. And you have voting cards to vote on whichever one it is, and these are weird things. So let's say Darth Vader goes up against Barney the Dinosaur. Well, the category they've got is talks with an accent to sound sexy. Whatever you, of all the cards to get as my example, that's the one I get. And to be honest, we had that in the other night. And I did say Barney the Dinosaur. I had to argue that Barney the Dinosaur was going to go up against, I think, Indiana Jones or something weird. Oh no, Fiona from Shrek. Yeah, Fiona from Shrek up against Barney the Dinosaur. Which one talks with an accent to sound sexy?
You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity.
This is the kind of game you're getting here, guys, alright? It's a little bit on the weird side at times. But you will secretly vote for which one you think should win. Players will flip over simultaneously, the results are tallied, and then if you voted for the winner, you score points as the round goes on, but you're hoping to get your prediction to the very end. And so you resolve these and people kind of debate afterwards as to why it would be one or the other. You have a little bit of a giggle, as I said. I've just had a bit of fun with this one. And there are some weird stuff here. I mean, what else have we got here? Drinks everything except water. Always falls asleep while watching TV. Makes up words during Scrabble. Gives their opinion on every topic. Eats the kiwis with the skin off. It's sorry, with the skin on. You know, they're basically weird stuff like that. Now, you basically play this for, I think, just a couple of rounds. Yes, you do this twice, effectively. So you have one round, do it, wipe out all the names, play again. Second round, new cards, new characters. Add up your 2 total scores, and total at the end, most points wins. That's pretty much the entire game. Now, This has some good and bad aspects to it though, and it really kind of depends on what you're trying to get out of this. If you play this as a proper game, then it's going to fall a little bit flat. And part of it is because you don't really discuss these before you do the voting. You get the combination, you might have a little giggle, maybe say a comment or two, but then you'll decide, right, secretly I'm going to vote for this one. And then it's a bit like Dixit, where after you've done the deciding part, then you start debating as to, well, why on earth did you pick that? Why did you think it was this and stuff? And so you get a little bit of fun that way, but I played this game wrong the first time I played this, which is where we actually discussed the scenario before we voted on it. Now, this did one of two things. It kind of broke the game a little bit from a game perspective, because if you're kind of already agreeing with each other whether it's likely to be this or that, you can kind of go with the flow as to what you should play. But what it did do is that it encouraged a lot more discussion, a lot more banter, a lot more just taking the mick. And so it's kind of difficult to think of this as anything more than an icebreaker. It's a good icebreaker. You don't know anybody there, you don't know what sort of thing they would vote on. I mean, if you play this with people you know, you might get some idea of what they'd vote for, but even then, with the combinations of these weird cards and weird characters, there's only so much you're going to gauge from that. So playing this with your friends, fine. But honestly, this one kind of feels more like an intro to a game night for those who've never really seen games. And particularly for a group, maybe a club night, where you don't know anybody at the table. This just leads to a good little bit of banter, a little bit of, a little bit of fun, a little bit of lightheartedness. And as I said, it makes for a good icebreaker. Doesn't necessarily make for that fun a game though. I mean, it's fine, but it's very group dependent. I mean, you've got to be bantering about these choices and these different types of matchups and stuff. But because you don't do that until after you've done the voting, it kind of really does depend on the group. I mean, is the group going to talk about this kind of thing and have a laugh? Or are they just going to be like, right, let's get to the next one? So it's fallen flat occasionally, but on other occasions it's done well for banter. It really does depend on the mood, the setting, and the players. So this one is maybe a little bit more fragile than the average party game. And so I like it, but I wouldn't necessarily say I love it. I mean, compared to Repop Productions' earlier stuff, like Just One and So Clover, this doesn't come anywhere close to how good those two are. And I even mentioned, I've mentioned other fillers that they've done recently, like The Number, where I feel like, those ones are better as a cool filler game to play. This is a straight up party game, but I feel like maybe this is more for younger players. Like, gamers aren't really going to get much out of this. It's really going to be, I don't know you, welcome to our club, let's play something nice, light and fluffy that anybody can understand. Or you're going to have maybe family get-togethers or clubs where kids have been brought to, like conventions or something, and like a bunch of kids could play this. The rules are easy to understand. They'll come up with stupid names and they'll have fun talking about it. So perhaps maybe I'm not the target audience for this, but I get where this game is going. For me, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's above average. I think it's fine. And I would happily play it at the end of the night just to have a little bit of a light-hearted fun. But if we're going to compare this to the plethora of party games that's out there, this doesn't quite measure up to the gold standard that we have. I mean, we have, as I mentioned, So Clover and Just One from the same publisher that do this kind of thing better. But then if I want a more like gamery party game, I'm going to play something like Dixit, Dixit Stellar, Mysterium and all that lot. I'm going to probably pull one of those out before I pull out this one. So this one I feel is just going to fade into obscurity. You'll notice it on a shelf, you might pick it up because of its sort of flamboyant like yellow box and artwork and stuff. I mean, it's the same yellow that my car is in, frankly, so I gotta give it some props for that. But yeah, it's produced well, it's a nice idea, it's something different, a little bit unique, but yeah, you're basically just playing it as an icebreaker and not much else. So whether this is going to appeal to a lot of you, I don't know. It's something, I like it, above average, just not quite enough to recommend it above other party games. So that's it for me on this episode of The Broken Meeple. If you like what you see, then by all means, thumb it up on YouTube and thumb it up on Board Game Geek when it goes on the official page. If you like what you see, then by all means, check out more content on the show, including all these small reviews I've been doing lately, or even the big review I did for Marvel Dagger. And of course, remember, as always, regardless of who you think's going to have a sexier accent out of Darth Vader or Barney the dinosaur, it's still only a game. Bye for now, everyone.